house?
Oh, it is so much fun. Yeah. You're going to either really love each other, kill each other right off the bat, or just somehow we manage to make it work. But it can be joy sometimes. Ask my guys.
Turning a passion into a career, is that even a good idea? What if you had a career that was rich in experience, but also paid the bills? Is that possible? At the intersection of all these ideas is one incredible human being, Wayne Endicott. Wayne is a staple in the history-rich Oregon bow hunting community. He's a family man, owner of the BOWRACK, and after spending a few days with him, I realized that his successes are no mistake. His work ethic is like the Energizer Bunny, and most importantly, his humble attitude and positive outlook on both business and life left me feeling inspired to be a better man. The archery and bow hunting community is a special one, and I look forward to sharing a glimpse into the life of Wayne Endicott, owner of the BOWRACK in Springfield, Oregon.
My name's Wayne Endicott. I'm BOWRACK. Gosh, I was a kid just getting out of a couple of years of college, and we'd started bow hunting in the early 80s, some friends from high school, and we hung out there, and there had been an original owner was Ron Schreiber, and Tony Place was like furniture in there. He was one of the main guys, one of the main techs, and it was a great shop, and starting out bow hunting, we all hung out there, and so we're all familiar with it. And there was another gentleman that had bought a Randy Cook, and he wasn't, I think he was more into hunting, and his wife was kind of running the shop, and you could tell they just weren't into it. So I wound up, making them an offer and buying it. And there wasn't much to buy, it was just some equipment and a little bit of inventory and the name, because it was a leased building and everything. And so, gosh, what was that, 89? What's this make, 33 years this year or something like that? It's crazy. So time flies when, yeah, when you say out of college, I ran out of money. And I was a criminal justice major. How's that fit with business, But, of course, and in the beginning, like any young guy, shop owner, and like, I'm going to shoot tournaments, I'm going to hunt all the time, I'm going to own this archery shop. It's going to be great. Yeah, that's not what happened.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to beautiful Springfield, Oregon. Today it's the BOWRACK, and I'm here to go find Wayne Endicott and let him tell us a little bit about his operation, what he's got going on. I thought this might be something you archery nuts would enjoy. So we're gonna go get you guys a little tour of the BOWRACK, go find Wayne, see what's going on here at the BOWRACK in Springfield, Oregon. What I know is like there's a lot of history to the shop. See what you think. Let's go hop in there and find Mr. Wayne Endicott.
I'm that guy that I'm just strictly archery. I haven't killed anything with outside of gophers. I've shot.
That's Dan too.
On the, that's just on the farm at home. But outside of that, because I'm not gonna waste an arrow on a skunk or a gopher. That's especially a skunk. But yeah, outside of that, I'm all archery. I don't know any. And I love shooting a bow. It makes like 40 some years now. I lose track. Because I'm old. And lose track of all the time and stuff that I've spent, bow hunting. So I've got fantastic employees. So yeah. that's just and there's a boss and a leader. And between the difference between a boss and a leader, a boss just tells everybody what to do and doesn't do anything. There's not a day I don't work with these guys. And they get 2 days off. I get Sundays off. Yeah. I'm going to try to change that, though. I tried for a little while. I was taking Tuesdays off. But honestly, I do enjoy, because I'll run off sometimes into the high country, and I want to do that again coming up.
Yeah, you're here on a Saturday, man.
Oh,
and everyone's here.
Every Saturday. There's not a choice there. Okay. Like I just told you a story about, you know, not even hunting the first year, hardly. I mean, Roy Ross drug me up Weyerhaeuser, but, you know, I just didn't have time, you know. It was really overwhelming, you know. Had some great people that helped me. J.C. James, I mean, this guy shows up one day and he goes, "Hey Wayne," he goes, "I'm J.C. James." He goes, "I got a couple weeks of vacation. Is it okay if I come and hang out with you and work with you? I used to have an archery shop when I was younger." And I'm like, "Absolutely." Gives up 2 weeks of his time to come help me, you know, learn how to run an archery shop. I'd been there, I think I'd had the shop a month and a half or 2 months. It was crazy. You know, yeah, unbelievable, you know. And guy he turned into kind of a mentor. I mean, he was like an archery coach back then. He used to shoot competitive. He shot on staff for PSE, and was, you know, JC, you know, shot in Vegas and everything. He was that guy that's always like, you know, he had these little catchphrases that, you know, like, hey buddy, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean? It doesn't cost any more to aim. What was that? You know, you could actually aim at the target. You know, you don't have, you know, so it's all these little, you know, when I was young and first starting, you know, it's like, dude, he goes, you had your bow put away in the rack when the arrow went off, okay? Just, you know, just little stuff like that. JC was good for that. I mean, just loved the guy. He was just an awesome dude, you know. So guys like that, I mean, so many I can't even mention, you know, that just came by and, you know, invested time and effort into us early on. And, you know, BOWRACK's like big family, you know. It's just, you know, my wife, I mean, what business can you have and you can raise all your kids? You know, my son, he actually a lot of years hunts more than I do. You can bring your family up and you get to know everybody as family. I mean, it's just like one big network, like you, Dan. I mean, and, you know, get to know all you guys, you know, and there's just so many people, there's so many fingers in archery, and it's just cool. Everybody's awesome. You know, archery's as old as mankind, and it's kind of, you know, in our DNA. You know, you can't deny it. I still, every day, just love working with people, you know, every single day. It's just awesome to share archery. It's just the best gift you could ever have. And we actually make a living at it now. There was a lot of years we didn't. I mean, in the 90s, I used to, like this barn. I mean, I took this old barn and remodeled it. Why? Because I had a skill set for it. Why? Because I framed houses. Through the 90s, my wife used to run the shop, and heck, I worked construction in the wintertime. We did that for quite a few years, you know, because you just, I mean, what's going on with archery in the early 90s? Not a lot. You know, so swinging a hammer became a thing. When you got a family, you did, like, there was times, gosh, I'd have, you know, 2 or 3 side jobs going and the shop. It was a challenge at times, but, you know, we just stuck with it. I mean, you know, it was rewarding. It's awesome.
How did archery get its hooks into you personally? So
I grew up, you know, my dad, oh my gosh, my dad was born in 1917, so I've got a little history. I'm 60. He was a rifle hunter. You know, like I think I told you some stories earlier about, you know, we'd load up all these horses and go, and my dad was a farmer, and so when hunting season came around, I mean, it was his time, you know, and he was the statewide #1 trapper in the state for bobcats, like 3 or 4 years in a row when he was in his 70s. He was a hardcore outdoors guy, but you know, he didn't like archery, you know, so we never even picked up a bow and arrow. I mean, he was a rifle guy, you know, get it done. You know, and he liked to shoot big animals, but, you know, at the same time, he just wanted to get it done and get home and get back to work because he was a hardcore work guy. I met, you know, all these guys, you know, over the years that had archery hunted, so I kind of had a flavor for it. So when I got out of high school, one of my buddies, Jeff Brooks, he was one of my main guys that was a friend of mine, he got me into archery. We wound up working at a mill together, and Jeff, all he did was talk about bow hunting. Well, the next thing you know, I got a Golden Eagle bow. It was probably, oh my gosh, it was early 80s, and boom, we were bow hunting. And I killed a good buck that year. It's in the shop. It was like the 7th buck I'd missed. I mean, back then, I mean, we couldn't hunt up our car keys, let alone kill anything, okay, with a bow. I mean, at a Golden Eagle with an overdraw, shooting 21-14s with a 125 grain broadhead on it, a 24-inch arrow, it's like, oh my gosh, arrow flight was horrid. Absolutely horrid. We shot at a lot of stuff. It was like, you know, we had mottos. I think this is Cam's motto, okay? This is a Cam saying. Cam Haynes, this is arrows in the quiver don't deliver. We lived by that. We had 9 arrow quivers on them bows, and it's like, we had those little square broadhead targets, and we would shoot like practice before season. Like that was a thing back then. There wasn't a lot of dedication to shooting those bows because there wasn't a lot of accuracy. And so like you put on a broadhead, you just wanted to hit that thing at 20. Not like hit it in the center, but just like hit it. You know, there wasn't launcher rests. We had what we called a Huntmaster 2000, which was a burger button and a foot, and your arrow would fall through, and your arrows would get all shiny, and we'd do things that were real brilliant, like we'd paint all our arrows, you know, before season because they were all just shiny from shooting in the target, you know. So we paint the ends of them, and I never forget one of my friends, Jeff Brooks, I was spotting for him, and he sneaks in on this mule deer, and he draws, and the thing just explodes out of its bed like he'd already shot at it. And he hikes down to me, and I go, dude, what happened? How'd he spook? And he goes, load an arrow and draw it. Because we'd paint the arrows and we wouldn't even shoot them, you know. We didn't even this is this brilliant idea, right? You can't shoot them because the paint all come off, you know. So I drew it and it just goes, whoop! Like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. So, you know, I was working in a mill, and Jeff and I got together, and, you know, actually 7th buck, and I actually missed the buck before I killed it. It comes out, it's a good buck. It's like a 31-inch heavy horn mule deer, runs across this flat, and I shoot right over top of it. I mean, there's no rangefinders, you know, back then. And so not only had the most horrible arrow flight on earth, but, you know, you had to guess what the yardage was, which I was terrible at that. So I thought it was 40, it was 30, 500 grain overdraw arrow, goes right over its back, you know. Well, it takes off running down a dry wash. I got a dry wash right here. I sprint down this dry wash for 200 yards, come over the top. The thing stops, it's all confused. It's right in front of me. It's looking at me, it's looking back. I draw and just drill it. I was so mad when I shot at that. So that was kind of a key early on my first bow hunting years, like, look, shoot at these things like they owe you money. Make your mouth water when you're shooting at this animal, because unless you have some hunger, you know, in that, you know, moment of crunch, you're going to do like the 7 bucks I missed before, is you're going to miss every one of them because there's no hunger involved, you know. So that's a big key, you know, starting off. So. Anyway, yeah, that was, might have been 81 or 82, something like that. You know, it was early, you know, I was working at that mill.
You're about what age?
Oh my gosh, I was probably 20, 21, something like that. Cool. That's been a long time, a lot of fuzz, So time had moved on, and, you know, we'd been in a couple lease shops, and we had a good lease shop that was in Q Street, but you know, the lease was going up, and, you know, property was still pretty cheap, and I had the skill, you know, I'd been framing houses for a long time, so of course I want to build something. So there's a lot where we're at now, that lot comes up for sale, it's $56,000. And it's narrow, but it's long, you know, and it's like, you know, bankers were just, oh my gosh, Terry Gent, he was such a prince of a man. I walk into what back then used to be Centennial Bank, now it's Umpqua Bank. I walked in, I go, Terry, he was a customer. I go, dude, I really want to build a building, and there's a piece of property for sale. And he's like, dude, here you go. He goes, blank checks, go buy it. Do it on a line of credit, and you will roll you over in a small business loan. And that's how I built the shop. We get the shop all done, and one of the guys that my big BOWRACK case, that was Tony No, and Tony had a cabinet shop. He built that case for me, and everything helped me, and he kind of watched my progression. And we'd been in that shop probably a year and a half, and Tony comes in one day and he goes, hey, I don't care what it costs. He goes, tell me what this place is worth, I want to buy it from you. Man, I came home and I sat Lisa down, and I'm like, so this is the deal. And I mean, we're just, you know, I just like, we discussed like, what are we going to do? I mean, what are we going to do that we can work together? We have a strange word, anybody that knows us, and we banter a lot. You know, so we have and it banters right in front of all customers and everything, and sometimes it can get vicious. I mean, you know, she's blonde to the bone, and I love her to death, and she is great at the shop, and we go back and forth. So it's just our relationship. It's great. I wouldn't have it any other way. But anyway, we were discussing, like, we got the kids, you know, we got 5 kids, you know, all different ages, and we got, like, what are we going to do? And that we can work together and raise kids and everything, and it's like, we're not doing it. You know, so I told him no. I go, no, we're not selling. We're not going to sell it. Like, our heart was totally sold in this, and I mean, we're excited about owning this shop, you know. And it's not about making money. Head it right off, you know. It's like, it's not about making money. Side note on Tony. So Tony, Screaming Eagle Archery. That's Roy Roth up in Wasilla. You know, Roy built Screaming Eagle Archery, and Tony was the owner, and they worked together on it. And then Wayne Fouts came down and did his internship at the BOWRACK, you know, and went back up. Immediately they opened, but you know, Wayne and Tony ran Screaming Eagle Archery for I can't remember how many years. But when I was up there in 2012 hunting with Cam and Roy on that brown bear hunt, you know, I went over and hung out. It was a great shop. I mean, they did a fantastic job building that shop. The gentleman owns it today is doing great. So it's still, you know, Wasilla, you get up there, Screaming Eagle Archery, it's just an awesome shop. Good people own it now, so it's great. You know, growing up, you know, starting bow hunting and everything, it was just like, man, we'd arrived, you know, it was like, bow hunting was like everything to us. And then we'd started shooting a little bit of tournaments and stuff. And I worked cooperative work experience for the state police, Oregon State Police, over in our Gateway office for, and the more I worked there, the more I decided that wasn't going to be for me. Yeah, that wasn't going to be for me. You know, when Lisa came along in the mid-90s, you know, oh my gosh, I mean, together, you know, working at the shop, it was just awesome. And I mean, I give as much credit to her, you know, for everything that we are.
A fib? What? Oh, I do love merchandising. I love it. They get upset because I move it nonstop. They never know where anything is. But I do love the merchandising in here. And I love, like, a long time ago, that whole back wall was just, I don't even know if I want to say archery accessories. It was not solid clothing and hats. Like, that's totally my baby. Like, I love,
really good in here.
Yeah, I love doing all the swag and all the extra stuff that a long time ago we didn't even think of, you know. There's a whole, like, bow culture now, you know.
Right over that says Rogan and Haynes for president.
Yeah, that one's a little bit popular.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we send those to Sweden and Australia. We do, all over the world.
That's awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
You know, it's like and when social media came along, I mean, it just launched us. I mean, you can do all kinds of outreaches and everything before social media. It costs a lot of money. And then social media comes along and all of a sudden, like, the world is a community of bow hunters, and it's just, you just get to meet so many awesome people, and oh my gosh, we got friends all over the country now, and you know, and there's a lot of great businesses out there, but probably make a lot more money than an archery shop. But you just can't put a price tag on any of that. We want to help people, you know, chase their passions with archery and bow hunting and target archery and kids and getting kids into archery, and it's just awesome. We love bows and arrows. It's a simple deal. We're simple people. Yeah. We always encourage everybody to support your local pro shop, you know, and support your local economy. If they want to come travel and see us, I mean, you know, we're going to set you up with the best of the best. I mean, there's no race to the bottom with us. We're the race to the top. We want to sell you the best equipment that is available on the market today. And we all shoot. We're very opinionated on what we sell, and we don't sell like massive amounts of everything. We sell what we believe in. Whatever it is, whatever we're selling, we've tested it, we use it, we think it's the best that there is. You know, we're proud to sell it. Archery is something to be proud of because, you know, whether it's a simple Genesis bow, you know, or whether it's, you know, a high-end Matthews or RX-7 Hoyt, I mean, it's our technology. You know, it's where it came from. It came from the United States, and it came from the North American hunting model because that's what's driven archery to where it's at today. Our resources that we have and the abundance of game we have in the United States. That's cool. I'm excited about archery every day. I mean, I love the archery business. Like I say, it's family. I'm not looking to retire. I mean, I get guys that come in and they see I'm turning white, and you know, I could hold on to my youth for a little bit longer, but now, you know, you got to turn loose of it. And that's good. I'm good with it. You know, but guys come in and they're like, "Aren't you going to retire?" Like I remember, when I shave it, I don't look as old, I guess. You know, so I had these kids in my archery class, and every winter we do kids league. You know, and so there's one Cody Haymar. He was just a youngster. You know, he was a fun kid. He worked for me for a little while when he got older, but he was just he was probably 12, 13 years old. And so I'd had him all winter, and I for some reason I'd stayed clean shaven all winter, you know. And so kids archery class had got over, and he comes in, and I'd grown a goatee, and of course it's all white. And he comes in, he's just staring at me the whole time. And so I go, Cody, what are you thinking? And he's like, how old are you? And I'm like, I knew that's what he was thinking, you know. So anyway, but no, my plans for archery is, you know, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the archery shop. I want to work for a long time. I mean, my goal is stay healthy, you know, clean lifestyle, stay fit, and I want to bow hunt. I just love the industry. I love everybody that's about it. I mean, what can we do? And you know, you think about it, modern archery is that's just United States redneck Olympics type stuff, right? Because we invented the compound bow, we invented modern archery, we invented everything there is to do with modern bow hunting. It's our deal. It started with Fred Bear, Ben Pearson, Gilman Kesey, Mert Bixler, guys you would never even heard of, you know, Chester Stevenson, all these early guys, you know, just like, hey, we don't have to buy tags. You know, if something dies, it's an act of God. I think it was 1946 in Oregon. Chester Stevenson wrote in his book, and he's got this book called The Old Bowhunter. If you ever get a copy of it, it's precious to read. It's just history, like you won't put the book down. I think it was 1946. It was a terrible year because they deemed the longbow as a deadly weapon, and you had to buy tags. Before that, if something died, it was just an act of God. You know, it's like, you know, like an accident type of thing. You know, oh, yeah, something died. Oh, you got a bow? Oh, it's no big deal. You actually killed that? And so Chester Stevens, all those guys, they were trying to modernize bow hunting here. You know, they had great arrows and great. I've got one of his long bows in my collection, but great history. But it's ours. It's us. It's here in the United States. It's the North American hunting model. It works not only in archery but in rifle hunting. It works in everything. I mean, it's conservation. It's what we develop. You know, it's our deal. It's what we own. We can be proud of that. And it works in the North American hunting model. It can't be denied. You know, and it's worked other places. It works in South Africa. It works in all kinds of countries where they figure out that, hey, you know, we're going to do some conservation here. It's going to bring money in. These animals are going to have, you know, a high value. Every time somebody spends money on a governor's tag, or every time there's an auction tag, and that just means that our public land, do it yourself, draw tags. That gives you an idea what that tag is actually worth, the value that you have in hunting, and why it's important. It's all tied into it. It's why it's important. And it's not only part of us, it's not you're feeding your family, it's just the whole experience behind it. I mean, you know, everybody hunts for a lot of different reasons. When it's part of you, it's part of your DNA, and you really plug into why we hunt. So I think Donnie Vincent says it best where he says, you know, regardless of what you think about hunting, you know, your ancestors, you know, the only reason you're here is your ancestors at one time or another were good hunters. I mean, that's an honest, true statement. I mean, it's in our DNA. And it's crazy. I work with so many people that go, you know, I want to get into archery. I just want to target shoot. And they come in and they tournament, you know, they see everybody excited, and they see all the mounts on the walls, and they shoot for a while, and they're like, you know, I really want to try hunting. And then they go and it's like, oh my gosh, where have I been all this time? I want to hunt more, you know. And then pretty soon these guys become accomplished hunters. Just like, yeah, it's part of you. You can't deny it. When you actually step into the woods, especially with a bow and arrow, because it's as old as mankind, it's the oldest form of, you know, whether it was war or defending the castle or you know, any part of hunting or, you know, protection of the family, it was archery. It's always been archery. Longevity in archery, you know, fitness. I mean, when Cam and Roy and Dwayne Levitt and Jeff Brooks and, you know, Brian Richardson and Guy Harris, all the guys that I hunt with, fitness, you know, the way we're backcountry hunters, we always have been. You just throw a pack on your back, hit a trailhead, park the truck, bow comes out of the case, we're hunting. And we're going back in, we got a game plan, we're gonna, you know, circumference an area. If we kill something, we're not looking at distance, we're gonna leapfrog it out. I mean, I've been up to 14, 15 miles even like 6 years ago. Richardson and I, we killed a bull in Colorado, and oh my gosh, we were in the Zirkles, which is just basically sheep country, and it's, you know, 11, 12,000 feet, and we couldn't go out the way we came in because we crawled up through some sheep country to get to these basins, and we could not haul meat out that way. So longevity, you got to stay in shape. So every single hunting trip, or oh my gosh, if I've been hunting since I was in my 20s, is always entailed fitness. It's just focused on fitness. And something I did 5 years ago, I should have did, 30 years ago, is diet. I mean, I basically went to whole food diet and paleo. I mean, that's so important. Man, I grew up on a farm. I had a farmer that we were working for, doing some custom combining. He gave me a can of chew when I was 12 years old. Who does that to a 12-year-old kid? Because I was having trouble staying awake running a combine. Who does that to a 12-year-old kid, right? And it's the worst thing ever. It took me till I was 30 years old to throw that can away and never let it touch my lips again. And if that was a do-over, I would do over on that. And yeah, granted, I don't judge anybody for their diet. I don't judge anybody for their activities. Longevity, fitness, diet, vices, get rid of them. If you're sold out on hunting, be sold out on hunting. Honestly, everything in this room here, every one of these animals has been nothing but a blessing, nothing but a giant blessing. First thought after every single animal I've ever taken, first thought is, thank you, Jesus. This is unbelievable that you gave me this opportunity to be out here and just enjoy all this up until this point, and to enjoy and to continue to enjoy this animal, out of the freezer. I do most of my, Lisa and I, she cooks, but I do most of the cooking. And so from field to table, that animal's mine. So field to table, that's a giant blessing. That's a huge blessing. You can't even put a price tag on that because you did the prep. It kept you disciplined. You enjoyed your time in the field. I mean, it's just, you can't put a price tag on that experience. I mean, and that's hunting in a compass. It's the Lord's blessing. It's time with friends. It's time by yourself. It's understanding, being disciplined, and everything that works up to this point where your ultimate goal is, not stopped when it hits the ground. It doesn't stop when you get it packed out. It doesn't stop after you process it. It doesn't stop until you're out of meat, and then you're rolled into the next year's discipline to get it done again. That's the key to longevity. Longevity in bow hunting, longevity in life, success. It's as easy as that.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
That's awesome, man. Some good stuff right there.
Yeah.
If you're sold out on hunting, be sold out on hunting.